Last week we told you about one coal plant's proposal to dump wastewater into the Missouri River near Sioux City. That's drawing criticism from environmental organizations. 3 News Now reporter Aaron Haggerty has continued to follow the story.
The Missouri River, a source of drinking water, fishing, and recreation. When an Iowa environmental group heard an energy plant had a plan to dump wastewater into the river, they got concerned. The Neal North plant, owned by MidAmerican Energy, is not far from Sioux City. It burns coal. That leaves ash behind. The EPA says coal ash contains mercury, arsenic, and cadmium. Rain runs through coal ash and creates wastewater. The Iowa Environmental Council, the largest environmental coalition in the state, says it's not necessary to put that waste into the river. Last week, we reported the environmental group said it was untreated, but MidAmerican Energy said it is put into water treatment ponds.
Sitting in a pond can be a treatment for some things, but for dissolved solids or dissolved metals, things like that, sitting in a pond is not treatment.
If anything is put into the Missouri River, the IEC wants MidAmerican to use a different method, one that removes those toxins. MidAmerican said in the draft proposal that while that would be cleaner, it's not necessary with current standards. The EPA is looking at imposing a stricter standard. We asked MidAmerican about that. They replied, sampling of the leachate demonstrates that it will meet the more stringent limitations proposed by the EPA. But to follow the rules of the Clean Water Act, the environmental group says more is required. The utility also needs to show any important economic or social development that would allow for a lowering of water quality.
MidAmerican basically just identified itself as being affected and nobody else. There was no justification for degrading the water.
There's a lot to go on this. Next up, MidAmerican will take into consideration public comments due Friday before working on a final proposal to be submitted to the state of Iowa. Aaron Haggerty, 3 News Now.
MidAmerican says wastewater would only be put into the river in controlled circumstances when necessary, like when rain doesn't allow for the water to evaporate.